This episode of GuildCast is brought to you by Netflix. For a free 30-day trial, head on over to netflix.com/GamebreakerTV.
Gamebreaker TV.
Happy Wednesday. What's up, everybody? Welcome to GuildCast episode 53 for December 12th, 2012. You're watching Gamebreaker TV. I'm Gary again, and coming up tonight, put on the Christmas music, get your little elf hats out. We got WintersDay details. We got improvements coming to WDubs and improvements on the back end when it comes to hacking. All that and more, plus your viewer questions, of course. But first, on 2 full bottles of caffeine ready to go, it's... Yeah, okay. And of course, it's Elizabeth Claire from Massily.com.
Hello.
And right here from Gamebreaker TV, it's Richie Procopio. How are you, sir?
Howdy.
We are in for it. That's all I'm going to say. I don't know.
Yeah.
Somebody's had a little bit too much to drink. Oh, Richie, where'd you go? Lost you.
Richie.
I think that was me.
That sounds
there
bad.
he is.
I'm back.
I'm back.
Welcome back.
It. All right, you guys ready for your highly completely commercialized holiday WintersDay info? So ready.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So ready.
So ready.
Let's take a look at the clip that ArenaNet dropped just this week.
The citizens of Tyria are getting ready for WintersDay, the darkest time of the year. They do what they can to avoid the oncoming gloom, hang lanterns and mistletoe, and go about spreading good cheer. In Lion's Arch, they're waiting for the Master of Ceremonies to lead the fun. Tix, the traveling toy maker, and Tox, his mecha-magical golem. Tix is traversing Tyria, making stops along the way, and bringing an arsenal of gaiety with him to delight and entertain. If you're lucky, you'll get to meet the Toymaker's crew. You'll visit his amazing toy lab and play the whole night through.
Roar!
It's a bit bloody big. It's like, oh look, oh my god!
Terrifying small children.
There's that jumping puzzle.
There it is. A little bit of an audio thing off key there, but you get the idea. First up, I mean, the design-wise, of course, in look at Divinities. Look at that.
There's a baby recording with the same hat. I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
What? What are you saying? I don't even know. Your voice is like 10 octaves higher than normal. I can't even
Just came and
understand.
translated that for me.
She's a scrit.
There's a Quaggan
that?
with a Santa hat, and I don't know how I'm supposed to handle it.
Oh.
Because it's pretty much the greatest thing on the planet.
She likes quagging.
You think so?
A little bit.
Maybe.
Just a little bit. But I mean, first of all, we got to talk about design. It looks amazing. It looks great. It looks gorgeous. I mean, all the different areas, they knock it out of the park time and time again when it comes to the art direction. I don't know. It's beyond belief how good it actually is. It's crazy.
It's just gorgeous. I can't wait. They you know, I walk around Lion's Arch still and just marvel at it, you know, and I'm there all the time. So I can't wait for this to, you know, I can't wait for them to vomit Christmas all over the place.
Who's a little happy right here with this?
Not Peter.
No?
Gonna be throwing like red cans of paint over you.
How many jackalopes did they kill to make that fur?
Yeah.
What do you think? They
They look awesome though.
They do look great. I mean, it looks like there's a lot of stuff coming. I mean, this kind of caught my eye. This in the end shot that looks like, you know, obviously it looks like Divinity's Reach with the revolving. Let me see if I can skip down there. This down here, just what is going on here?
That does look like Divinity.
Where is it?
The
Somewhere in here.
logo.
Yeah. I see.
What is it? What is it? Is Divinity's Reach with like a mini like Christmas city inside of Divinity's Reach? It kind of looks that way, right? Like it kind of looks. It looks like, you know, when you put the little things around your Christmas tree at the bottom, and you got a little train that goes through, and you put those little buildings and they light up and things like that. That looks like it's going to be inside of there.
Yeah, well, they have that atrium in Divinity's Reach, right? That area that has like that sculpture that rotates and stuff like that. It looks like the Great Conjunction from the Dark Crystal. But yeah, that could be the winter version of that, or it could be something we've never seen. It's awesome.
Hard to tell. What do you think of the? Obviously, Elizabeth, you're quite excited.
I'm a little bit excited, yeah. Not even just about the Quaggan with the Santa hat, although that is kind of the best thing anyone's ever made. Just, it looks absolutely stunning. In Guild Wars 1, they didn't really do a ton of decorating. Like, a couple main cities would be decorated in certain areas. But this looks like it's going to be just on so much of a different scale that it's going to be amazing.
Why do they call it the darkest time of the year? What's going on? Is there
the
anything
nights
behind
get
it?
longer?
Yeah, because the nights get
Winter
longer.
solstice?
I was looking a little bit more deeply into it, like it was
Don't
just
think so.
evil, hoping for fighting something really big.
It does kind of give me that sort of. I think it just feels like a Doctor Who special at some of it when I'm looking at it in the sort of coolest sort of manner, the sort of style of the clothes and all that. So that makes me wait for those snowmen to bust out that globe and start killing people and stuff. But that's just me. But I don't think that it's going to be that kind of. I don't think it's going to be that kind of event. From the look.
I don't think it will. One thing that's interesting is that so far in the game, everything that's related to snow is kind of related to Svanir and, like, you know, the bad ice dragon. So it's really interesting to see that they're kind of retooling snow to be like festive and happy, when everything else has been like, oh god, it's all going to kill me. So, yeah.
How do you guys feel about the town clothes situation still right now? I mean, like looking at that 20-second mark, those town clothes, they look so awesome, but I feel like, I don't know, I'm still kind of on the fence, but I think more players would be buying this stuff if they could wear them everywhere. I kind of wish they would change that.
I think it's partly that, and also they need to give you more reason to be in town. If you could if you were in town for longer and had more things to do there, then you'd be more likely to wear those clothes that are associated with doing that. So it's a mix of, if you could wear them outside, that'd be great. But if they want to have that split, so it's not just for people who just enjoy role playing. If you got other things to do in town that has its own sort of reason for existing, then I think town clothes would play into it a bit more, and you'd get more of a feel with it.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's still early on in the game, and as we have more and more reasons to be in town, they've teased that they're going to be doing more and more activities that involve town clothing. We had the costume brawl type thing in during the Mad King event, and so hopefully it continues to become more of a feature and more used, because there's a lot of cool things they could do with it if they're going down this route. We just haven't seen much of it yet.
And I guess I agree with that completely. If there were more activities, they would just feel a lot more useful. So it's not like you really got to wear them everywhere. I totally agree with that. What do you guys think about? Are you expecting this level of change for Winter's Day across all the cities?
All the major cities, certainly. I don't know that we'll really see much of a change in, like, explorable areas, but I certainly hope that Land's Arch isn't the only place being duded up.
That would suck, wouldn't it?
It would suck so much.
For those poor kids woke up in Divinity's Reach, it's like,
No,
well, after they finish having a bloody heart attack from this giant thing that's going
And they
look, oh my god, run!
I don't want Winter's Day anymore.
They're all hiding in basements and stuff, terrified to come out all day.
It's true.
Yeah, but no, because it's going to have to, because if not, it's going to be moving across the different major cities. So if it was just like, oh yeah, it's just there, you've got to wait until it gets to Lion's Arch until it looks cool.
If you weren't hiding from anything, you're going to be hiding from that. Whoever came up with this deserves an award or something, because this thing is just the most ridiculous, like, foreboding, insane, scary thing I've ever seen for it's so creepy for like a festive holiday. It's just
it's like one of those massive creepy Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade like balloons. It's got that same kind of thing where they're sitting there, they're gigantic, they're very unwieldy, and they sit there floating and scare children.
Except it looks like it's about to descend and crush you.
Right, exactly.
There's a slight difference to the Macy's Day Fraud. They don't look like they're about to just walk over and smash you to pieces, which that one kind of has. Look at that! I mean, look at that!
Like it's going to devour them.
You're walking down the road. Oh, I need to go to the store and pick up some. Oh my God!
Yeah,
So I have declared war.
Godzilla's turned up. Fantastic.
and I beg to differ with you. Someone in chat already said it as I was thinking it. The Ronald McDonald Macy's Day balloon is creepy and scary as all hell.
And the crazy thing too, the airship is confirmed. It's going to have a 5-man dungeon on it. Correct?
Yes, instance.
Do we know anything else about that? I mean, similar to like Mad King Dungeon. I mean, do you guys expect this thing to go on after WintersDay, or do you think it'll go away?
Where would he park it?
Yeah.
It's probably going to go away. I don't think that they confirmed that it was a dungeon per se.
Yeah, just an instance.
It's a 5-person instance, and we know, we'll talk about this in a little bit. It's the ability to replay certain things is going to take place there. So maybe that's part of it. So I hope it's kind of a dungeony thing like the Shadow of the Man King, but I do expect it to be removed when WintersDay goes bye-bye.
Yeah. I don't think that's something that would really stick around for, like, it would just be very peculiar if the flying airship scary thingy was just kind of a part of Lion's Arch from now on.
And we're getting enough time this time to play it, so it's not like...
Yeah, 3 weeks is gracious plenty.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of time. The other thing that ArenaNet confirmed was the festive town clothes, weapon skins. There's going to be all kinds of goodies in the Black Lion chests coming. You guys been saving up those keys or what?
I'm not sure they actually confirmed that it would be in chests. They said that there was going to be stuff on the store, but I don't think they ever actually said that it was going to be actually part of the chests themselves, because previously for the Lost Shores event, they didn't have stuff in the Black Lion chest. They were in the consortium chests, which kind of is making the Black Lion chest less and less appealing.
Confuse those two.
Yeah. So
what's going on? What are you doing with with your keys these days? You've been saving them though?
Yeah, I've been
saving them. Stockpiling them, just sitting on them
in case they ever make the chests worth using. Yeah.
Yeah. Those keys sit there in a corner, gathering rust, waiting for something to be worth opening. That's
also a jumping puzzle coming here, huh? New Winter Wonderland jumping puzzle. Anybody hoping for a Clock Tower 2.0 or what?
Yeah,
absolutely.
I'll be up for that.
Oh, it's so
Especially
good.
now that we have 3 weeks to beat it rather than 5 days or whatever.
It's like, how can we make
half an hour a day?
How can we make the jumping puzzle a little bit more psychotic? Let's add ice to it.
Oh, geez, don't even say that.
Oh, don't.
So there's also some minigame, a snowball fight minigame, and some kind of a musical minigame. Do we know anything else about that?
Not really.
No, that's a big mystery one.
I mean, the snowball one would probably be something along the lines that we've seen with the sort of fights, I would imagine.
Right.
Event. But the musical one, haven't a clue. Not Scooby.
So like we were saying as well, I mean, for the main event is going to be the airship, the big foreboding evil airship that's going to travel to each city. Starting on the 14th, so December 14th is when it kicks off, and it reaches Lion's Arch on the 20th, correct? It's the 20th, I believe, is when it reaches Lion's Arch.
Yeah.
And this is actually really cool. So if you're worried about actually missing any of the specific day's events, Colin Johansson jumped on and he said, if you miss any of the days in a specific city, you can replay that day's event all over again once Tix arrives in Lion's Arch. He will let you do this the entire time he's in Lion's Arch from his arrival there until WintersDay event comes to an end. So that's a nice little way. I mean, they're giving you such a good window now to actually play all through this stuff, and you're not going to have to like go jump on YouTube and watch videos. You could just do it in game.
Yeah, it's nice for a couple of reasons. So first, yeah, it's great for people who aren't there that day, whatever, you're working or you're out visiting family or whatever, so you don't get to go see the Rata Sum event or whatever. But it also means that there's a lot less pressure to be there like right at the beginning, which means that everyone's going to have better performance. So good job learning from past mistakes there.
Yeah, it proves that they're listening. I think that on paper, everything that they've outlined so far it looks like they're really on the right track to really knocking our socks off at this event. I mean, it's they're putting some different things in the various cities, which we've said before. We want to see more things happen with the capital cities. They're doing it so that you can replay it. I didn't see anything that said one time in any of this. So I think it's gonna make people people always find something to complain about, but so far I think this is really a good move for them, and they're on and this is gonna be awesome. I can't wait.
I have to ask this just for reading it to completely hate me for this one, but you guys think we're gonna see anything for New Year's?
Given that this runs till the 3rd, I doubt it.
But do you think they'll do something in there for the New Year? Nothing at all? And something maybe it just will happen on New Year's?
How's about they just have a bunch of really drunk char on New Year's Eve? Just like fighting and ripping each other to pieces.
Just brawling in every city.
New Year's Day, just the entire city then walking around going, oh my God.
Just with a hangover.
What did I do?
I think the Nord have to join you.
You want your profession book? Just leave me alone. No.
Winter's Day was never really a Christmas analog. It's kind of a Christmas New Year's hybrid. Like the lore of it is that 250 years ago in Old Tyria, it was kind of a fight between Dwayne and Grenth about whether or not spring was going to come yet, or if it was going to be winter for a while longer. So I think Winter's Day is actually kind of closer to being a New Year's holiday than a Christmas analog.
Chat room unanimously wants fireworks and free booze. That's
free booze.
Free booze and fireworks make it happen.
You just see Norn going around the other cities teaching them how it's done.
Oh,
this is how you get really drunk. Okay, let's get the barrels out, fellas, and get going.
I like it.
Be fun. Yeah.
And the sir are like, you put your 6 times my body weight.
So coming Merry Christmas for WW fans. You're getting some updates along with this as well. So ArenaNet have given us a heads up about what we're going to see with the Winter's Day patch. First up in the patch, besides all of that great stuff, advanced notification of new builds to allow players to make good decisions about siege placement and assault timings. What exactly is this trying to fix here? So
siege weapons like trebuchets and ballistas and arrow carts are kind of, they're not necessarily scarce resources, but they can be very costly. And there's kind of a limited supply. You don't just, you weren't allowed to put them up as many as you want. You have to actually have the blueprints. And so people were running into this problem where they would put something up and 3 minutes later, everybody's off the server because there's been a new build. And they had no idea previously that that was going to be kind of a wasted effort of resources. So now they're not always going to have tons and tons and tons of timing because it's going to get kicked off at a point where they don't necessarily know exactly how long the build's going to be. But you have a better chance than, I have 3 minutes to whack the crap out of that castle wall before suddenly we no longer have that advantage of placement.
Have you guys had this issue? Have any of you guys run into this issue where it's a major problem?
Not personally. I mean, bro, it's a problem that can exist. So if it does, the amount of people who play WVW so constantly, these are things that are used often, and people do have to pull together a lot of the times to make it happen. So if they've gone through the effort of building these things, getting the blueprints put together, fighting up to the point, and it's like, yeah, we got, oh crap, we've got to. Yeah, that's not good. So no, it's not something I've had happen to myself, but if it's a problem that can happen, it will.
Next one that's pretty big. Players Alt F4ing to quit the game to instantly escape combat. Obviously a major problem. So now what they're going to do for this is your character will be instantly killed. Death penalties will be applied and XP loot will be handed out. So this is huge. This has been a problem for a while, I think. Definitely glad they're getting this in. Nice little addition. Kind of interesting take on how they're doing it, though. Instantly killed. Usually when people log out, you just wait for the log out. What do you guys think of this change? Good?
Yeah, the change is really good. I mean, that's absolutely needed. But I agree with you. That is a kind of a weird implementation. I wonder if there was a technical issue and that this was the easier way to kind of solve it. Because the instant kill is kind of I guess they can tell if you're all Alt F4ing rather than actually having a legitimate disconnect. But yeah, it is kind of interesting, and it's definitely something that's needed, especially for World versus World. I mean, there was a video that got a lot of attention where a whole bunch of people went into World versus World. They turned themselves into like animals, like moose and different types of caribou, and they were running around just scaring people. And the funny thing is, they can't attack anyone. But there was one guy that they actually cornered, and he suddenly blipped off the screen and logged out. And it's kind of funny. The video is humorous and everything, but it really kind of exemplifies this issue. It's like you could just log out to avoid a nasty situation, and that had to go. Absolutely.
First of all, that's an amazing video. Second of all, yeah. So I prefer this to kind of the global cooldown system just because it's more expedient for everybody else except for the people who are trying to get out of combat quickly. And it really has been annoying so far in World versus World. You get in like 2-on-1 or 3-on-2 or whatever sort of encounters, and it was not infrequent at all for the other people to just log out, or friggin' thieves would just stealth and then log out. Really, really. So it's really nice that that's kind of not going to be a problem anymore.
It's smart the way they've done it, because what it means is having it not do the countdown means you're not standing there smacking them over the head for a while until they die, because the whole point of it is to make for them doing that is just to make your life a bit more annoying. So it makes it even more easy for you. So it takes away the main sort of reason to do it in the first place. So it's like, go ahead, Alt F4 saves me the hassle and I get everything I want. Cheers.
Yeah, go for it.
Here's my advice. Moment WintersDay hits, everybody jump into WDubs and just laugh at all the people who didn't read the patch notes. They're just like, what's going on? What's happening? What's happening?
I'm really hoping that this is not well spread so that people keep trying to do that.
Do we know if this is going to apply to PvE as well?
They didn't mention that. I was trying to think if that's necessary or not. I mean, what does that really do if you're able to log out like that? Because when you log back in, if you're in a bad situation, those creatures are still probably going to be around anyway. I was kind of thinking, I was like, did they need to put that in for PvE or not? I mean, I could see it working either way. But I'm not sure that there's an absolute need for that.
Charim confirms no. And apparently they jumped on the forums to confirm that outside of the post. So on the forums they've said no, that will not be in PvE. Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't really seem like it would have much value there in PvE because I know you can Alt F4 out of a fight though. So I guess for some people they might be using it if they don't want to die, but not really a big deal.
Yeah, is it really? It's not like the sort of the detrimental effect for dying in PvE is so great. You're like, I'm going to Alt F4 out, or I'm going to lose that 3 copper.
Yeah, people in World versus World are doing it a lot of times so they don't want to have to go all the way back to a waypoint and get back to the action because it is kind of a far run sometimes. In the PvE, it's kind of like, I died. Oh well, So
next up, no more instant build walls and gates. Destroyed structures will now rebuild at 10% health rather than the very first repair. So sounds like a really good needed change. What did you guys think of this one?
Yeah, it's really obnoxious. I was playing World versus World the other night, and we broke through like a first gate, right? And then we're fighting to kind of get into the keep more. And people kept, stealthing behind us, and they would just do like one little tick on the gate, and then we were kind of trapped in there, and we would have to break it down again, and so reinforcements can continue to funnel in and help our advance, and they would keep doing it. It's so obnoxious that they just have to spend like 2 seconds, and boop, the gate comes back, and it's like So yeah, this is a great change.
It sort of ruined the whole feel of the idea of you've gone through all this incredible effort to knock this wall down. And then it suddenly turns into the equivalent of a shutter blind. It's like, down and back up again. The whole feel of it, it really sort of undermines the sort of immersion of the fact that you've just took down this massive wall and there's whole people about it. And to be able to fix it like that really off-put it. So yeah, it's a really good change. Something they needed to do.
Next up, this is another big one. Breakout events. Hopefully you guys maybe wrap a little bit more around this for me. So that if a team is completely be pushed out of a map, an NPC commander will start an event. And what I understand is it's basically going to make sure that your team just starts kicking ass. I mean, how is this going to work?
So if you hold no defensive structures, so you can still hold supply camps, but no keeps or towers or anything, an NPC will spawn, and he'll just kind of be like, hey, follow me, we're going to go attack the nearest objective. and lead on for a little bit. Yeah, someone's making a joke that it's Traherne, and that would be awful. Anyway, so it's something that they talked about a long time ago, about making sure that there was kind of a stabilizer or equalizer for people who are being kicked out of the map entirely, because then it gets boring. Like, even if you're the winning team, there's no more fighting on that map. People are very rarely going to make the effort, at least in any kind of timely fashion, to get back on the map, because they might as well just go somewhere else where they already have a stand. So this is really going to hopefully keep things interesting and just really help teams that feel like underdogs right now.
It's a decent spring back mechanism, basically. It's there so it's not. It's a bit sort of 0-1 once people have got what they need now. It's so difficult to sort of make any sort of comeback when you're under the cosh so much. And it also makes it a bit more interesting for the people who've got domination as well. They've got something else to worry about and something else to fight and go after, which changes up the sort of makeup of the fight. If you've got that much domination on a map, your opposition really isn't up to that much, to be honest. So at least with that, it sort of makes the fight more interesting and maybe gets people who are actually on the winning side more people into fighting there as well.
Yeah, this seems to be like one of those things that you really got to... I'm almost going to wait for judgment until you actually get to see it, because we talked about this in the past when we were talking about WW, and like, it's supposed to be this fun thing that people don't really like take too seriously, but I think a lot of the people who are into it really do take it seriously.
Really? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And anytime you interject something that's kind of artificial to sway the balance, it gets a little dicey. And if it's not almost perfect, it could really, I don't know, could it be exploited? Can it be used to their advantage? Does it offset something? And I could definitely see this kind of getting a little touchy-feely.
It could, but if you've got no defensive structures left, like none, and that's when this comes back, then you're at a point of the map where it's basically the game as it's intended, as this back and forth and quite fun, becomes almost unworkable. So having that mechanism in there, you're right. Hopefully, it's not going to be basically, you're in trouble, and then suddenly out comes this indestructible wave of NPC,
and you're just
makes the entire thing.
Yeah.
The thing is, stand behind him, and he'll win. You know what I mean? As long as it's not that, as long as it's something that's just going to help to a certain degree, and then I would imagine you get a few structures back, the winning team can come and respond to that.
It's basically trying to get morale back, isn't it? It's trying to get morale back, so you just don't feel completely defeated. It's just sort of being like, get back in the fight.
It's so you don't feel like the world's biggest loser. You've got somebody in front waving a flag saying, "You don't suck, honest."
Yeah, we're going to make it, guys.
Come with me. It's going to be okay.
Well,
it's okay.
Elizabeth's right, though. Even if you're on the winning side, World vs. World becomes terrible at that point when you have everything, because and no one comes in anymore, and it just becomes, all right, let's wait till the next round. And so anything to kind of change that up and make it so that it continues to be interesting until the match is over. That's a good change.
I'm kind of wondering if it's not going to be almost more of just an organizational thing than anything else, because most teams that are getting pushed out of maps, that's happening because they're not very good at unifying and making a good, solid push. So I'm really hoping that more than anything, this commander kind of NPC for the breakout events is just a gathering point, so they have an idea of how to get started back into things and kind of give them a push towards being organized and going about it in an efficient way, more than saying, oh, we're going to take over this for you since you can't take it for yourself.
That would be interesting.
It's going to
literally,
be really...
you're just thinking like this NPC is just going to show up and just basically be like, hey, everybody come on me, and we're going to make this push for this.
Right. Like,
is that
it's
really
not like
all
he's
it
going to
is?
be going
It's
out.
but is it really just lack of leadership why a lot of these servers are having issues?
Not for all of them, but for a fair amount, it's just because they weren't able to get a unified effort going. And so if this is what they need to kind of get that going again, it'll be a really simple change that kind of helps people without artificially altering the state of the game.
Because it's unlikely that the opposition side has got like a huge advantage, be from gear or anything else. You know what I mean? So it is going to be the organisation, the way you approach. It's going to have to be a strong little commander, because it'll be even better. Was basically he comes out on the field and everybody rallies around him from this this world that's been absolutely raffle stomped, and the team just comes up and kills him, and then you just stand there going, ah! Go running back off and hide and never come back again.
Alt F4s.
Yeah.
The alt F4s.
We're just so distraught. You go up there. We've got a commander. It's going to be okay. They killed him.
He's dead. He's dead, Jim.
Yeah, what if he has good loot on him? That becomes target number one.
Forget it.
Yeah.
See, if he's got good loot on him, you'll have the other side saying, "Go on, just take that and wait for him to spawn." Wait.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait. Hit him. It'd be great.
Chatham is saying as long as it's not Logan because he is useless. So
You just run away.
he would.
Wait a minute. My darling calls me. Sorry, everybody. And then go
It's like-
running off.
Yeah.
I've got a party to attend. All right, account restoration technology has finally been implemented. This is a way for ArenaNet to actually restore accounts back to previous states after they've been, like, let's say, for instance, hacked. Presumably, I would say that this isn't just for hacking, but it's also going to help them deal with.
Sorry.
Also going to help them deal with people doing with exploits. Remember we had that exploit a couple weeks back when the whole karma weapon issue,
Yeah.
right? When people were buying hundreds of weapons and there was really nothing they could do except they were like, "Hey guys, you're jerks. Could you delete those out of your inventory?"
You better put those back.
That is basically what they did. They said you have to promise to go in and delete those from your account. It's like
That's what they said.
that's how you're managing this. So, I mean, on one hand, it was a good character building thing, I guess, for them to be like, they had to write a note of apology and say they were going to toe that line and never cross it again, and they had to go in and on their own delete those items. So now they have a little more forceful of a way of dealing with people who are breaking rules.
I'm going to tell your mum. You go and put those things back right now. You've been very naughty, and we're not happy, so get rid of them.
Say you're sorry.
We can tell how many you took, but we can't do anything about it.
Yeah, exactly.
So this is definitely good news. Gives them a little bit more control over the accounts. But there was something here that was kind of weird. Was in the detail. They're saying that they'll only restore your account once in its lifetime of the account. A, what is that? How does that? That I'm confused by. And B, am I missing? Am I missing something that sounds kind of weird to me? Like you could possibly get hacked more than once. That would be legitimately not your fault. Is this a tech thing or?
I'm hoping that they're trying to sound like hard asses about it so that people are really careful and they're like, "Oh, I can only do this once. I'm going to be really careful with my account," in case they weren't anyway. But I'd really like them to see something like, "Hey, after the first one, give us $10 and we'll restore your account again," or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm hoping it's just to combat people from being super careless and needing to get their account restored a couple times a year.
They came out as hard asses. Weird word to say. They came out really strong when it came to banning accounts right away, and they were suspending and banning and so on, and then said, "Okay, we'll give you another chance right off." But they wanted to make an impression. Maybe this is that sort of thing where they're saying, "Right, you've messed up. Now this is what you need to fix it, and then we won't have to worry about you getting hacked again because we're not going to fix it for you." Maybe they're just trying to be strong to get people taking that responsibility.
Yeah, I mean, think about it this way: what kind of hacking message is it to say, "Oh, we've got this account restoration, and now you guys don't have to worry. Anytime you guys get hacked, we can just keep restoring it." So I think they definitely have to come out and put a limit on it right away. And I just hope, like these guys are saying, that if push comes to shove, and they can research that somebody legitimately got hacked more than once, that they will do something.
You would hope, because I guess you want to be kind of strong with the message, but at the same time, it's like, they push that right out the forefront. I would have just said nothing about that, because it seems weird. I mean, if let's say you're playing this game for the next 4 or 5 years. I mean, if you get hacked today, you could very likely get hacked again next year. I mean, it's not like it's unheard of, and it's like if they're just sort of like, "Nope, screw you, man, it's your fault. You got hacked. Well, we're not restoring your account."
If they're gonna go with this, they've got a choice. They can either say nothing before and say it after it happens, which is a bad idea because then people really lose it. But the way they've always been is, look, we're telling you the way it's going to be up front, and then it's down to you to respond to that. And they've been that all the way along about the forums and what their expectations were. We want you to be like this. If you don't, this is what's going to happen. So they're just getting the message out there ahead of it. Because if not, if they said, right, there's a lot of people being hacked more than once, we're not going to fix it for them. That would be bad.
And I don't know how I'd feel about the pay thing. Would be odd. Because tell me this. I mean, it sounds like sort of okay, but then think about it. Let's say you're legitimately hacked by somebody. They hack your account. You're already angry. Your account's been hacked by somebody. You don't know if you're going to get your stuff and what's going to be gone. And then ArenaNet goes, oh, yeah, should we get your account back? You got to give us $10. And you're like, what? Yeah. Like, I didn't do anything wrong. Like, this isn't my fault. Like, why do you want me to give you $10 to get my account back? That, like, the security's not my thing. That seems like it'd be kind of rough.
The problem from their perspective is it is your thing. Like they should have been better out the gate with assisting with security, and we've talked about that a lot. But they've made it clear. Look, these are the steps that you need to take to make your account more secure. If you're not taking them, they're saying, why should we then have to increase the size of our department and spend a lot of money taking care of this if you can't be asked to sort out your own security and get the sort of Google Authenticator and all the rest of it. So it's difficult because from their end, they're worried about spiraling costs for people not taking care of accounts. And on the other end, they've got to worry about bad PR from people saying, well, it's not my fault that I got hacked, so why am I having to pay for it, as you said. But then Arena can say, well, it's not your fault you got hacked, but you could have done more to prevent it, and this is our way of encouraging you to do more to prevent it.
How do you guys feel about the fact that it's like a snapshot? It's kind of like a restore point, and that you lose any progress? Because I thought that was a little bit restrictive. I don't know what the reason behind it. If they just designed it that way, or if it was just what they could do in this kind of time frame. But you literally, will, if they take days to get back to you, you will lose all that progress and stuff like that. I mean, because I've gone through account restorations in other games, and they've been able to keep my progress and just restore items and gold and material things that you've lost. How do you guys feel about that approach?
Do we really know the lag time though? Like, do we really know when the data? We don't really know when the servers are they being backed up every 24 hours? Is it every hour? Or
they don't say. So we assume it's fairly random, or else they'd always be able to say like, hey, every 24 hours we're taking the screenshot. So they said something about like the 5th and the 10th. So from their example, it might be as much as like a 5-day gap. And yeah, it would suck to lose the 5 days of legitimate progress between like the last screenshot or snapshot of your account and the hacking. But I mean, it's still a step in the right direction, I guess.
Yeah, it's better than the alternative, which is you're screwed.
Yeah. We still haven't heard we haven't heard any updates on the authenticator stuff, have we?
No, not since the beta testing of the Google Authenticator, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, is it really going to be going ahead full steam there that's up? It depends on, I guess, on what sort of how the response is to the use of the Google Authenticator. Have they seen a lot of account hacking still going on? Is that's prevalent? Then if it is, then maybe there'll be more incentivized to get that authenticator done. If they feel that it's not as bad, then perhaps it might be a longer term thing. Hopefully it's sooner, because I mean, come on, we want an authenticator. I want an authenticator that says Guild Wars 2 on it on my iPhone. That's what I want.
Yeah, I no, I'm fine with the Google one.
She's like, yeah, whatever. All right.
I'm just easily contented, I guess. Whatever.
Let's do some viewer questions. This segment of GuildCast is brought to you by Rift Storm Legion. They've got the Fey Yule, which is their winter Christmas event coming up. Oh, and this, I got to tell you guys about this. If you guys have played Rift before, if you're a prior subscriber, mark your calendars. December 14th through the 18th, they are allowing all players to come back in and play and check out Storm Legion absolutely free. That is December 14th through 18th. Mark your calendars. Go over to riftgame.com and check it out today. All right, first up this week. This from Draper Horton says, do you think Guild Wars 2 would have survived if it had a sub fee? It's a really good question. I'm actually going to say yes. I think so.
That is a good question.
I think... sorry.
I was going to say, obviously they designed this game from the ground up to be, the business model to be non-subscription with the gem store. So I do think that if it was going to be a subscription game all along, there would be a lot of changes. This game would be very different. But if we're talking about making this game as it currently is a sub game, I think it would still survive. I think there would be a lot more heat and some of the issues, like the PvP functionality that we've been waiting for a long time, and we'd probably hear more flack about what is there to do than there already is now. But I do think it would survive. It would be a little bit weird since the game is fully designed to support itself via a gem store. So interesting question though.
I think it would survive, but I think it would certainly not be anywhere near as popular as it is.
Right.
And I think that it wouldn't have been given the leeway that it has been on certain issues that were evident at launch. So I think it would have had more negative PR. I think it would have not launched as big, and I think it would have put a lot of strain on the game, and it would have been framed just complete. It'd be such a different game. I mean, just think about how this has been framed since before launch. This is going to be the game you don't have to pay a sub for. Buy the box and it's yours, and it just been a completely different experience. And games suffer at the moment which launch with subscriber-based revenue. They just are. So survive, yes, definitely. It's still a cracking game, but there's really good games out there that are also suffering pretty badly because of not because of, but partly because people don't want to pay a subscription.
Mm-hmm.
But Guild Wars 2 made that kind of happen, so it's partly the sort of environment we're in, because Guild Wars 2 said, look, this is a fantastic MMO and you don't have to play a sub, and it works. So it kind of, without that there, maybe would have been okay. I don't know.
What do you think, Liz?
Yeah, I tend to not think that the fact that you aren't paying a subscription fee is the best thing about Guild Wars 2. If it was just, I don't have to pay for it, so this is my new favorite game, that's not necessarily the most compelling argument. So it's not like that's the best thing about it. But I feel like it would have survived, but like Scott said, it wouldn't have been nearly as popular, and it wouldn't. We need to be moving away from that in general, and many other games are, like Secret World today announced that they're subscriptionless now. And I feel like making a point that you can have an excellent quality game that has regular content updates without subscription fees is pretty impressive.
And also, I mean, I'm not sure if the style of the game would work quite as well. That one of the great things about it is, and Gary, for you as well, it's such a casual game that you can pick up and go back in whenever you feel like, and you don't feel pressured because there's not a subscription. If a subscription was there, would you be as happy with that sort of pick up and put down content without the sort of need to have to be playing all the time that you get with our MMOs because of the grind and the different kind of grind, the different kind of top end sort of content? Would that the lack of that there be with a subscription work? And I'm not quite sure it would anywhere near the same way.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think there's a large population of players who are totally like the game, but are playing tons of other games, and they're going to come back every single month when this new content hits, and it's going to be a large influx of players. And I think you lose most of them in a subscription model.
Absolutely.
All right, next up, this one from Dean Winwood says, which Elder Dragon do you think we'll see next, and which way do you think they will introduce him or her, through a content update or an expansion pack? What do you think, Liz?
I think whichever one it's going to be is either going to be like a huge DLC sort of thing or an actual expansion, and I think it's either going to be Kralkatorrik in the Crystal Desert or Svanir up to the north, because those
totally
are already
what I was going to say.
Because they're things that are already really part of the game. Like they have whole zones that are kind of devoted to the destruction these dragons are already causing. So they've been they're secondary to Zaitan itself, but they're still very prominent forces in the game, so I have a feeling that we'll be tackling one or both of them next.
Yeah, I think everyone's expecting the expansion to kind of be Cantha because it's kind of like how Guild Wars 1 progressed, but I agree. I think we're going north, and it's Jormag. That's my guess.
Sorry, Jormag.
Yeah, and it's totally, and I agree, it's totally going to be some sort of expansion pack that you will have to pay for. That's what I believe.
You think it's going to be a full-on expansion pack or kind of like a mini, like how they describe Dean describes it as an extension pack?
I don't know. I would be surprised if they offer more Elder Dragon type story and content through just a normal monthly update. I would be surprised. They surprise me all the time, so I wouldn't put it past them. But expansion pack, whether it's a full expansion or like a paid DLC kind of thing, we'll have to see how they do it.
I think the reason expansion makes sense is because the way that the Elder Dragons are actually tied to the races. Like if you go Jormag and you go an expansion pack, you got the code and happening. You know what I mean? Because of that, the effect that sort of like Jormag had on them. So you could tie those two things in, and that would make a lot of sense. And also, if you've got an Elder Dragon, that's a big story you can tell, and like you'd need a lot of breathing room for that sort of build up. In the way that what's happened with Zaitan in the original game. So I could see an expansion pack making sense. You could certainly do it with DLC, but I think for something that big, that epic, you want a story to really sort of encompass it and have a lot of effect. So I'd like to I would think it would be an expansion.
I wonder if they have enough space geographically for it to qualify as an expansion, because most people are going to assume that like an expansion is new continent, and if you're going with either Kalkatorrik or Jormag, you aren't getting that. You're just extending the Tyrian continent that we're already on.
It's true.
So I wonder if they're going to feel like there's enough land mass being added to the game to qualify for an expansion pack kind of price.
Yeah, that's true. Especially if we look at the massive map that we've got. There's so much room. It just depends on how long what their long game is. Because if they see all that, and that's like they're looking to get to a certain place in like 3 years, then it wouldn't not be an expansion for those Elder Dragons. Because as far as you know, there's like 6 just Kryta. That's right, isn't it? It's 6. Right.
Bubbles, Kalkatorrik, Jormag.
Whatever stirred the
Mortis.
crabs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you've got that. So if they see that as like 5 years, that could all be expansion. It really could. But if they're looking to spread out into that world, then we might actually see them in smaller smaller DLC sort of stuff.
All right, last up this week from Adrian Lloyd. Adrian asks, when guesting becomes available, will I be able to guest on any server regardless of continent? I have friends on both NA and EU servers, and I don't like the idea of using a lot of gems just to go play with friends for a few hours.
I'm guessing you're not going to be able to. Everything we've seen so far has been kind of separated by data server, which has been North America / Europe kind of split. Mm-hmm. So I don't foresee guesting across continents. You might. They could surprise me. At this point, guesting itself in the game is going to be a surprise. So
yeah,
I'd just like to
Christmas
be able
morning.
To find out if that happens. Oh god.
Yeah, if they were like, oh, by the way, December 14th, guesting.
It'd be like Christmas morning.
The interesting thing is
it's snowing outside.
The interesting thing is there was a blog post back in the spring that actually said it said something like when guesting happens, you will be able to play, and they kind of alluded that you can play across region as long as they're on your friends list. But the funny thing about that is you can't hold much water to that because that same blog post also said guesting would be available at launch. So take that with a grain of salt. They did say it was possible, but who knows if it's
with a grain of salt.
Not that every week we talk about guesting and get really grumpy about it or anything like that.
So grumpy.
So grumpy.
So grumpy.
Scott Hawks, a.k.a. Jaramore. Follow him on the Twitter. Go to Zam.com. He is grumpy about guesting. Jarimor. Is that it? Jarimor. Yeah. It's kind of
that is.
Jarimor on the Twitter. Go follow him. Elizabeth Clare. Follow her on the Twitter at Elizabeth Clare with an X. And, of course, go to massively.com and check out all her work over there each and every day. Elizabeth Clare with an X. And our main man, Richie Procopio. Follow him on the Twitter at Richie Procopio. Come over to Gamebreaker every day to check out his stuff. And go over to his YouTube channel, Bog Otter. Bog Otter. Still don't know what Bog Otter is, but...
It's an otter that lives in a bog.
That's
right.
You can follow me at Gary Gannon. Follow Gamebreaker TV at Gamebreaker TV. And we do the show live every single Wednesday at 6 PST. Coming over for the live show. Followed now by Klaus and Squirrel every Wednesday at 8 PST. So that's always a good thing. Come on over, check that out. And we'll see you next week for some more GuildCast. Thanks for watching.